We're fortunate to have today um, Exco Levi. He's going to be joining us shortly. He has the link. And we're going to be talking about the journey. His journey, really, specifically, because his journey is an interesting one. And I think a lot of individuals in different sectors, genres of music, and so on, as well as people in just in the workforce in general. Like, I want to hear how you define success. I want to hear your journey to success, because I think everybody has a story, but I also think that everybody's story can be instructive for other people. And so that's what we're starting today, is this conversation. And it just so happens that today is a music conversation, with a musician, an artist, who's well known in the Canadian scene, I would say, and getting more and more known in the Jamaican scene. And so, yes, here. So let's see. Hey, in keeping with the journey, he's in his car.
Hey,
Yes, welcome, Esco Levi. Now that you're officially here, I'll do your official intro. Um, Five-time Juno Award winner. And for context, if you're, not Canadian, Juno is the equivalent of the Grammys. So it's the Canadian version. So he's a five-time winner. And he is now this year, Esco. This is gonna be your 10th nomination. Um,
I believe I was 12 in our last count.
about 12. So imagine. So he's
Yeah.
also nominated this year. The Junos comes up later on this month. And he has a new album out, for your consumption, for you to check out. And it went live already. He did his launch in Jamaica, the Jamaica Pegasus, March 1st. He is a reggae artist extraordinaire, international artist, really, but repping strong for Jamaica and Canada. Welcome, 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 Exco, to the journey.
Thank you very much for having me on the journey today. You know what I mean?
So, one of the things why I did this was because I feel like everybody has a story and everybody wants success, but maybe they don't know how it goes, how it goes. How do you get there? What are the steps that you take, and so on? And I think it can be instructive to hear from everybody, um, in their different walks of life. You so happen to be able to talk to us from an artist perspective, and maybe even from a business owner. We'll get into that. But you have a perspective to share on how do we get to success. And I want to start off asking you, how do you define success? And if you consider yourself successful, we'll come back to that question at the end. But how do you define success? And do you consider yourself, Exco Levi, successful?
Happened just now.
You know how technology go.
Yeah, yeah. But I like the look though.
Technology.
I like how it looked though.
Yes, yes, yes. We're looking nice. We just
Yeah.
we just have to work with the glitches that we don't control. Until you get richer and own the internet, own
But
the
I'm on the
internet.
Wi-Fi, so I'm good. And right now I'm in the community at the crossroad where the free Wi-Fi is. I make sure I come in a good spot. Cause to me live
Yes,
a country, me's a countryman. So I have to make
yes,
sure my Wi-Fi up. You know what I mean?
yes. So speaking of, we're gonna get into all of this countryman thing too, but let's start off with, how do you define success, and do you consider yourself, Exco Levi, a success?
Well, success is a strong word. You know what I mean? My definition of success is not accolades or award. You know what I mean? Is the ability for you to be remembered when you're long gone. That's
Mm-hmm.
how I can classify success. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I was just, for example, I was just watching the funeral proceeding for Peter Morgan this morning online, and
Yeah.
the words, the commentary,
Mm-hmm.
the work that you have done is so
Mm-hmm.
tremendous. So when you're long gone, will you be remembered? That's the question. And to
Mm-hmm.
me, that's what defines truly success. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For me, you know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yes.
Mhm.
So then, are you successful?
Well, I think that not in a boastful way, in a boastful manner. I think that as a youth born in Manchester and migrated to Canada, you know what I mean? Sometimes I sit around and I think about all the accomplishments, you know what I mean? That I've achieved, some place that I've been to in the world that I would only see on TV. I would only saw those on TV when I was growing up. You know what I mean? Place like Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Czech
Yeah.
Republic. And I
Yeah.
remember vivid going to those places and perform for people. So I think that, man, even to come to Canada and one somewhat junior award and have my name inducted in the Brampton Art Walk of Fame, those will be remembered when I'm long gone. And
Yes.
that is what
Yeah.
defines success to me. And the thing also is not is the works is positive. You know what I mean? It's nothing negative, it's nothing derogative. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what success means to me.
Well, that is
That's my
good.
definition.
It's good. It's a good definition, I think. Especially
Mhm.
because in music, the journey rough, and
Very.
for you to be able to put some points along the way that you say, boy, I hit this milestone, I hit this milestone. Five-time winner of Juno is nothing to sneeze at. And Brampton Arts Walk of Fame, nothing to sneeze at. Your kids can walk down that street and see your name. So
Years
there
to come.
is, yeah, there are things there for years to come. Now, as we are speaking, Exco, everybody knows your journey doesn't happen with you alone. There's always influences, there's always people who guide you along the way or help you along the way. And we are talking as it is Women's International Women's Day. And I know there were some significant women in your life. One was the late, great Denise Jones, who was your manager, and I would say your mentor as well. And of course, your grandmother, who was instrumental in
Mhm.
growing you up. Tell us how these women played a role in your life, and how you value them, especially in the context of today.
Well, I always tell people that I don't have any luck with man, I have luck with woman. You know what I mean? Most of my achievement and my upbringing, I have to credit it unto woman. That's why I love woman so much. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because my grandmother who I grew up with in Manchester is only when I was around 14 years old I realized that it wasn't my biological grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
Because what happened is my grandfather married to her, but she couldn't have kids. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? So my grandfather was a bad boy. He went out of wedlock and get my mom in my community. But I didn't know all of this because I grew up seeing this lady taking care of me. I didn't know no mother, no father. I only used to see my mother and my father probably once, twice a year. So I
Yeah.
grew up seeing my grandfather is along with this lady. I thought it was my mom.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it was long after I realized that she's not my biological grandmother. But
Yeah.
my biological grandmother also live in my community down the road from me. I didn't know that until I was around 14 years old. You
Wow.
know what I mean? This lady, she couldn't have kids, but she raised probably 37 kids, including my mom. So she went
Mm-hmm.
and get my mom and raised my mom and
Mm-hmm.
raised me and my sister. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So just imagine your husband went out of wedlock. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Opened the lock. He opened the wedding lock and go get my mother and my grandmother go and get my mother and raise my mother and raise me and
Yes.
my sister. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So her teaching, her values were instrument in my younger years growing up. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
we used to hear all the old people word, man, I scared to the world. You know what I mean? All these good stuff. We used to hear all those stuff. And I think that's what embedded in me. And just to remember how she were kind to people, you know what I
Yes.
mean? How she give everything. I don't she tried to find something to give all the time. So I think that's my upbringing is an instrumental part of who I am.
Yeah.
In the latter part of years now, Denise Jones, I mean from 2012 somewhere thereafter, me and Denise Jones started working together. She was the type of person who is like she's like a mother, a manager, a mentor, everything because she was a very smart lady in terms of book wise, and streetwise. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
she always tell me things like, it's easy to explain a lie. It's easy to explain the truth, but it's hard to explain a lie. You
yeah,
know what I mean? Cause you know, we are young youth and we go up in the street, we want to try to wiggle around, wiggle around, wiggle around. She said, no, 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 no. Tell the truth. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
she's the one who responsible for that part of my life in terms that I walk on a straight line. She always say, when they punch low, we punch high. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So that part of my life, I would credit it unto Denise Jones. You know what I mean? Because she was
yeah,
very instrumental in those parts. You know what I mean?
yeah. Yeah, and of
Yeah,
course
man.
in the music, um, you know, from bookings to going with you on tours and so on. I'm sure instrumental. And for those who don't know, you should look up Denise Jones. Denise Jones, stalwart, was a stalwart here in Canada in the music scene. Through Jones and Jones, brought some of the biggest names in concerts here, and was Esco's manager guide. So imagine your music journey without her, Esco. What would that be like?
Could you repeat that question?
I said, imagine your music journey if you didn't have her, in especially post 2012.
Could you just repeat that question? That one past me.
I'm saying, imagine your music journey if you did not have a
Mm-hmm.
Denise Jones, given all the things that have happened since 2012. So I was saying, you were talking about Denise from a personal level, but even talk about Denise from the music,
Mm-hmm.
the contribution to your music career from 2012 to now.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's integral because Denny's were in the industry, especially in Canada, from way before I even entered Canada. You know what I mean? And she was not only known in the Canadian industry, she was known in the reggae industry overall. Because people in Jamaica know Dennis Jones. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
When I look at my launch at the Pegasus where I saw people like Teddy Lately. You know what I mean? Those people who are stalwart in the business, they know Dennis well. You
Yeah,
understand? So her contribution to Exco Levi career is monumental. You know what I mean? I think that we have an understanding. You know what I mean? Because I understand the production part of the business. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Then he's understand the booking and how to represent an artist, the representation of an artist. So I think
yeah,
we just put both energies together, and that's why
yes,
it worked for 15 years. You know what I
yes,
mean? Until she passed.
yes,
Um, we have disagreement. You know what I mean? But I try my best not to involve in that part
yes,
of the industry that I didn't know much about, like the management part and all that. I try to stick to the studio because that's what I know. You know what I
yes,
mean? And we
yes,
learn to coexist around each other, and we challenge each other, and we set goals and we achieve them. And,
yeah,
and, and I remember when I won my first junior award, she told me that there's a thing in Canada, there's a stigma around the junior award. When you win one, nobody don't hear about you again. And I'm saying, let us change the stigma. Cause Rasta don't carry stigma. You know what I mean? And from then we went on to win five.
yes,
And I was just thinking about it too because if to be frank and to be truthful, cause remember, even Kurt Diamond winning song for the Junior Award, I was the one who co-wrote that song also. So
yes,
you know what I mean? I was thinking about it this week. I was like, but you know,
yeah,
we,
yeah.
we did we did a lot of work around
Lot
there.
of work,
Yeah.
lot of work. And speaking of the work, well, before we speak about the rest of the work, are there any other women you want to pay homage to, given that it's International Women's Day as well? Any other women in the
Well,
life, in the
I would have to
business?
give I would have to give credit to the mother of my kids. You know what I mean, my ex-wife, she's the one who brought me to Canada when I was only 22 years old. You know what I mean? I have to big her up likewise, and I have to just big up all the mothers out there, and as I said, including my kids, their mother, you know what I mean, for taking care of my kids. 'Cause, as an artist, it's been 2.5 months I'm in Jamaica, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean, and I have kids, you know what I mean. My last kid is 13, you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
So it take a woman to take care of them, and a strong woman to hold the fort, you know what I mean.
That's right.
While an artist is away, 'cause it's not every artist can talk to musician, then you get fed up, you know what I mean.
Yeah, it is interesting. It's an interesting arc of life. To be a father and be an active
Yeah.
artist is is not simple. Even yesterday when we were watching the funeral for Peter Morgan, the same thing was said. Graham said the same thing. It's not easy to have an artist's
Hmm.
husband or boyfriend and hold down the fort. So yeah, respect to all the women
Yeah.
that are doing it
Hmm.
and doing it well. Now, Esco, we have you started in Jamaica and you came to Canada very young. And you had influence to get into music because your dad was on a sound system, Super Soul Sound, and so on. So there was influence. Did you know that when you come to Canada, you're going to pursue music?
Then I must tell you the truth. From around the age of 7 years old, um, just learning to pronounce word, and I, I can't think of myself doing anything else.
Yeah.
That's why I tell you, said, to be a musician or to be whatever you want to be, it have to be an inborn thing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like some people will just try to adapt things or try to jump into something, but it's not gonna be as organic as a person who was born to be. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? I can't remember from I was 7 years old. There's not a time that I've trying to do something in music. You know what I mean? I
Mm-hmm.
remember my grandmother used to say, "You make too much noise. Stop that on my head." From making guitar with, you know what I mean? Like it's always about music and football for me from
Yeah.
my youth growing up. So migrating to Canada, because prior to coming to Canada in year 2003, um, this producer guy came to Jamaica and he saw me in a studio in Mandeville, and he took me to Trinidad because he used to have a studio in Trinidad. And we
Mm-hmm.
went to Trinidad and we lived over there for 1 year recording, and you know what I mean, and all that. So my whole life is just all about thinking about how can I record myself, how can I make that rhythm, how do that work, how do Cool Edit work, how did Adobe Audition work, how do Fruity Loops work.
All of
Like
them.
it's always, yeah, it's always have to do with not only to sing, but
Mm-hmm.
to be in the production side too. I always intrigued and want to know how these things work, how studio work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In the year 2000, somewhere there, my brother took me to a studio in Mandeville, and the guy leave the studio give me because he have to go abroad. That time I record with Cool Edit. I have to try it. I want to know how it work. I want to know
Yeah.
how you make beats. I want to know all of those things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's been a journey for me from then. So with every
It's been in
fiber of
you.
my being, it's always want to know. I always my happy place is in the studio
Yes.
and writing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we see that because most times when you go live, you're in a studio, mostly your home studio.
Yeah.
So we know.
That's my happy place. That's my
Yes.
happy place.
So
Yeah.
talking about that now, you come to Canada, and I tell people all the time that in Canada to do music is another level of stress that you don't understand, and is another level of challenges that you wouldn't expect. So for context, I grew up in Jamaica. I would say, man and man go sound, them go round the sound from morning till night. Them go studio, them their studio whole day till morning, and then them go back and rinse and repeat. There's a crew if you go certain studio, so you go sharpen off a different people talent and so
Mhm.
on. But it's not like that in Canada necessarily. So
Mhm.
tell us a little bit about the challenges, especially that you notice early on and even continuing in your journey.
No, when I just came to Canada, my my what do I don't want to desire to hear my song on the radio.
Yeah.
On the 105.5 on all the radio station because I used to listen to Beat Morning Ride. I used to listen to all the radio program and Ron Nelson program. You just want to hear yourself on the radio. That's the thing, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I always upset, you know what I mean? But when I said I always upset, like, yo, why am I song not playing and all of that? But I grow to realize that a big song is like pregnancy. It have to show.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And that Evan Jermaine tell me once that listen, when you have a big song, even your enemy find your doorstep.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
You know
mm-hmm.
what I mean? So I, I think you have popular song and you have hit song. You have a song where it's nice, you know what I mean? And then sometimes you have a song where you probably record it now and it's just not wasn't the right time or the right person don't hear it as yet to endorse it. Because coming to Canada, I record a lot of song, I send it to the radio station, none of them played. You know what I mean? And it's when I did the song titled Oh Canada, My Home Away From Home, I realized that you just find the song.
You find a
You know
song.
what I mean? You just find a song. You'd have a lot of song, but you just find the song.
The
You know
song.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that artists out there should just realize that too. So just keep on working. Because I remember seeing the blessed, seeing all the great artists them on stage, and I wish like one day me go dep on it. Me say, what, yo, when?
Hmm.
You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And I live to I'm a living proof of what hard work and dedication, you know what I mean, and sticking to what you believe and just keep on pushing it.
Hmm.
I remember even that OK on a song, I was singing at Oakwood and Van in a band called Black Eskimo, and this gentleman came to me after I done perform and he said, listen, I'm an artist. I saw you tonight and you sound really good. The man said, listen, do you know about studio? I say, yes. The man said, all right, I'm going to take you tomorrow morning, which is Saturday morning. I'm going to buy a studio. Just like that man tell me, I never know him from nowhere. Big up
Yeah.
yourself, Mr. Ross. Yeah, man. Rural production. And the man come check me this Saturday morning at Chichiway building, call me downstairs, and camera Lana McQueen. And the man said, take up what you want.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe. I mean, take up all I think them for the studio and thing. And and that's what birthed my first song.
Wow.
You know what I mean? My first song in Canada. So it's all about hard work. You know what I mean? And just waiting on your time. Because when it's your time, nobody can stop it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
over the years, you've had the opportunity to collaborate with some people across the globe, really. But
Mm-hmm.
let's talk about, I saw at your launch for this current album that we'll get to. I saw at your launch ISOS, Us Squad.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
there's a lot of history
We'll leave.
in in Canada here, that you artists have had to forge your way. You've had to, whether you be a part of a crew or whether somebody have to give you a little tip, a little idea, or you build it yourself, like where you are now, you've built your own studio. Um, you know, talk to us a little bit about that collaboration, how that work in this
Well,
environment.
Isus and his entire family, mom, dad, brother, sister, all of them, they are like probably only, my extended family in Canada. Because when I just came to, I met Isus probably a year.
Mm-hmm.
A year after I reached Canada, probably a year and a half. You know what I mean? So they just reached Canada too. And you know what I mean? Like if me I leave Brampton I come to Toronto, you 100% sure you know where me I go. You know
Yes.
what I mean? Me know that ISIS yard me I go. Because me and mother, father,
Yes.
them is like my family, you know what I mean? So ISIS is more than just an artist to me. It's like a family. Because it's the only yard for me. Because me and my people yard. The only yard me am. Because
Yeah.
the only yard me feel comfortable. Me can go turn on TV, me can lie down in a bed. It just come like my second home in Canada. So me
Yes.
and the whole family is like friend, him, uncle, him. We start to come to Jamaica every year at Kingston, where they're from, at a party. So I get to know everybody in Jamaica, their family in Jamaica and their friends in Jamaica. So I wouldn't say my a friend. We are like brother. We are the whole
Yeah.
family.
Yeah.
Derek, Oscar, squad in brother. All of us is like family, and we never ever lose that connection over
Yeah.
the years. And that's why I always said there's a lot of people come amongst Exco Levi and they're not there anymore. And me I evaluate myself and say, but Esco, nothing wrong with you. Because I just my friend for your disco friend almost 20 years down. And not never
Mm-hmm.
happened. You and him never in an argument. You and him, you know what I mean? So that
Mm-hmm.
means that most the person who come in a
Mm-hmm.
year space. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I mean? And left is the problem. It couldn't be me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, relationships vary, right? So over time, you've had to strengthen them. Now,
Have to.
um, we are now on your third official album. Um,
Yeah.
every album takes a toll and collects its toll, and every album has a story. Why Born to Be Free? And tell us a little
Well,
bit about the background of this album.
well, I knew 'cause my last album was 2018, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. I always put like a 4 year, you know what I mean, before I put out a complete project. 4, 3, 4, 5 right there. So I know that this year would be the year for me to put out a next project, like a full project. So I've been recording these songs from over the COVID, from around 2020. Probably look at me before. I've been recording these songs with every time I come to Jamaica, I would go to the studio. Jamaica would give me rhythm, I would record all of these songs. And but if you listen to this project, song like Smile Africa, Slave Trade, you know what I mean, Born to be Free, you notice it leading you into a direction of liberation, you know what I mean? So I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't name it my girl Lollipop. You
No.
know what I mean? We have to give it a name that represent what the project. And we went to a great ordeal in finding the right name for this project. I want to tell you that this song, Born to Be Free, was the last song recorded on the album. Because I went to the US last year to do a show, and a friend of mine introduced me to uh, a blues artist. And I was listening to the blues artist, and that's how I came up with the song. If you notice the song, have a look at bluesy feel,
Yeah.
and really, and so the entire project, I think Born to Be Free was a name that fit the entire project based
Mm-hmm.
on what the direction that the songs leading you mentally. You know what I mean? As I said, Smile Jamaica, Born to Be Free. You know what I mean? One life. So
Mm-hmm.
it's more of a mental freedom. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I
Yeah.
will give my take on the album because that's how we got to this conversation today. Is how what Danae think about this album. But
Yes. Yes. Yes.
before we go into it though, um, we want to give some guidance to people out there. Um, you know, establishing that the songs it is not one time you sit down and write all of them you've been writing for a couple of years.
Yes.
Establishing like even the process. So, we've mentioned Donovan Germain a couple of times. That is Penthouse. You don't go around Penthouse. We don't, that's Donovan Germain's house.
Yeah.
Um, but, what is the process for getting to from point A to point B in making this work? Because you have to now think about what fits on the album, who went produce and master and all of those things. So, give us a little insight onto, that part of it.
Well, that part of it, as I said, each time I came to Jamaica, I would just take Penthouse rhythms. They would email me those rhythms. I just write songs. You know what I mean? Just because I wrote song different from many other people. Sometimes I would hear a rhythm and it tell me something, or sometimes I have to tell the rhythm something. I have to find something and tell the rhythm. I like the process where the rhythm tell me what to say, you know what I mean? Based on
Mm-hmm.
the sound and the feel and all of
Mm-hmm.
that. So that's it with Penthouse. Each time I come to Jamaica, I receive the rhythm, I would just come here and I would just go there and record. Now the songs that were produced in Canada, you know what I mean? Songs like Him, it's a mental, you know what I mean? I just have it in my head. And when I go to rehearsal with my band, we'll just work it out on the keyboard. You know what I mean? Songs like Young Girl, White Squall. I did a show in California last year, R&B Music Festival, and I was listening to Dan Carlos on the stage, and I was like, this gentleman have a unique sound. Like how Barrington Levy have a distinct sound. He have a,
Mm-hmm.
it's all a record. I don't think he sound the same now. But as a
No.
producer, him sound, in those days, it sound away. And I'm saying, yeah. So I went to the computer and I started listening to some more songs. You know what I mean? And the first song I heard from Dan Carlos was Young Local Girls, Love Natty Jet. So I could just hear it as a sample. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I could hear Wine Squall and Bite. Oh. So I was thinking to myself, so if I take this vocal and I speak a voice it would give it a robotic phone sound. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I
Mm-hmm.
just find Smoke Shop, big up Smoke Shop. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And I just get Smoke Shop to capture the lines. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And Smoke Shop capture the lines. But then again, I said I didn't want it to be straight reggae because the original track was straight. Boof, bop, boof, buff, boof. I decided to triple up the hi-hat.
Yeah.
Triple up the hi-hat and give it a chop sound. So if you notice the hi-hat triple up and I give it
Yeah.
more of a R&B crossover type. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's how that record came about. And I just went in the studio with my band. And the good thing, that studio that we use downtown, they have all the old equipment like the B13 keyboards. And so it give it that older sound, but the hi-hat and the snare give it a modern twist to it. And I
Yes.
must tell you, it was this man. I saw somebody post the Young Girl song. Those are one of the songs that getting the most traction on this project. White
Yeah.
Squall and Young Girl, yeah. So that's
Yeah.
how. And when I came to Jamaica, I would just bring down the file from Canada. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And I bring it to Penthouse and Jeremy listen to them. And as I said, when Jeremy was choosing the album, I was surprised when he chose two songs.
Yeah.
The two sample song was like, whoa, because it's like 24 or 25 songs I recorded. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And when I saw the list of songs that he chose, I was pleased. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, the song choices are definitely there. I'll go into my take. Um, it's what I'm surprised by was the length of the album. So most times people kind of drop in the 12 or 13 track range, and
Mm-hmm.
you gone in the 15 track range. So that was a surprise for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in terms of the songs, I think for the most of the album you have accomplished the goal of the name of the album. So Born to Be Free, there's a theme there,
Mm-hmm.
from the journey from getting into Rastafari, coming out of slavery. All of those songs tie into each other. So I really appreciated that, because sometimes people name album and you don't even know
Why I
what
name it?
what the connection.
Yeah.
So I appreciated that there was a connection for sure. Obviously, I'm going to have some favorites. I like Smile Africa. I like White Squall. The reason I like White Squall is because I have a biased ear for your work, Exco. I have a biased ear. Anybody who know me know I love your Countryman album.
Yeah.
Your Countryman album was by far my favorite work. So
Yeah.
any song that connect to the struggle, the simplicity of life, the countryman that is Esco,
Stick up in. That's what
yes,
Rory Stone Love said to me last week in the studio. The exact right. He said, "Listen, anything have to do with rural, hungry area, I always." That's why he said his favorite song was Fine Tooth Comb and the same song you're talking about.
I was gonna
Continue.
say. So Fine Tooth Comb, White Squall, Frozen Heart, Smile Africa are my top four.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I like the body of work, but in terms of the content, can't go around it. Can't go around HIM either. But what I like with Fine Tooth Comb is the emotional hair story. And what I like about White Squall is, of course, it reminds me of the Dutchy One food days, you know. So anybody who know about hunger know about White Squall, you know what I mean. So that's gonna connect with me for sure. And of course, it's good to see Dwayne Stevenson
Mm-hmm.
on the album, because we love Dwayne Stevenson. Those who love reggae and love singers in reggae supposed to know Dwayne Stevenson. So it's good to see him on the works. And of course, you have the last track is Charlie Black and Specs on Change Your Mind, and that song we've heard in Toronto, especially we've heard a lot over the year. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so overall, I think it accomplished the goal of staying on theme, and I think with all of Esco's works, there's always a few gems there for you to latch on to for different reasons. Like obviously, I'm going to latch on for different reasons because I'm Jamaican born. I understand struggle. So I those some songs there that are gonna latch on, and of course the HIM. The Rastafari journey is important. It's an important aspect of you, and we haven't really touched on that, but you can tell us, what does that mean to you, because we see you sometimes cooking up online and so on, so you can tell us about that. But
Yeah.
my take overall is good. So yes, tell me now, what was the importance of putting some of those messages on HIM, slave trade, um those kind of messages.
Well, I think it have to do with my thought process. You know what I mean? Because I live in my head. You know what I mean? And uh, I try my best to be very informative in terms of our history. You know what I mean?